What's the strangest accidental nudity you've seen? Washing my hands in the IKEA bathroom, handicap stall door slowly opens, and a woman is sitting on the toilet, on her phone, doesn't even notice for like 30 seconds. Finally a little girl goes, "Oh no mommy, you need to lock the door," and closes it for her. Funniest thing ever. I was a camp counselor at a day camp with a pool. One of the parents walked over to the edge of the pool to speak with her kid and squatted in a skirt. I was in the water and already looking in that direction, and that's how I know little Billy's mom doesn't wear panties under her skirt. Camping at a family reunion. I'm 9 or so. I'm outside the tent first in the morning, doing kids stuff, playing in dirt or whatever. My aunt and uncle shared our campsite. I heard sex noises and didn't want to get in trouble, so stayed silent as death. After the fun is over, auntie pops out of the tent stark naked and walks away. Walks back a couple minutes later and re-enters the tent. Didn't see me. Images burned into memory. There are things you can't unsee. I was a pizza driver, so it wasn't unheard of to see accidents. This one was weird though. I went to a house that I knew some 20-year-olds lived at, so I expected the typical guy. However, when he came to the door, he said just a minute. He had to wake her up. She comes up to the door in this cloak fashioned to look like Totoro. I complimented her on it and she shows it off to me saying how cute it is. And it's around this time that I notice her tits have popped out. She finishes paying and asks for help with math for a tip. So when I told her it was $5, she bumped it up to $9. Her tits were out the entire time. I think she noticed at some point, but clearly didn't care. Probably the best and strangest delivery I've ever done. Lesbian changing in my room. Was in the military, at the dorms, and this WM, woman Marine, just arrived on base and needed to report into command, and I happened to be standing outside my room. She asked if she could borrow my room to change. Sure, why not? I go stand outside to offer her some privacy and she calls out that she forgot something in her bag and if I could grab it for her. I go in and grab it for her and she is just standing there, nude, very casually. I quickly handed her the item and left the room. No, she was not into me. It was a very casual attitude. And she told me later that she was into women and laughed at my awkwardness. In high school, I saw my friend's mom naked through the glass door as she was taking a shower. She had forgotten we were coming early that day. It's good that his mom was so busy soaping up that she didn't notice us. Few years back my roommate's GF didn't lock the bathroom door. I wanted to go pee early morning and opened the door just to see her sit on the toilet half naked, looking at me. I just turned around with a half sleep haha okay bye. The breakfast later was kinda awkward, he never found out I guess. I was 8 years old. I stayed the night at my friend's house. His mom was a total MILF. We wake up early the next morning and I call my dad to come pick me up because my friend had baseball practice. After he leaves, his mom lets me eat a bagel and wait in the living room for my dad. While I'm waiting, I start looking around at all their cool furniture. They were wealthy, and I'm guessing she forgot I was still there, but his mom left her bedroom door open while she changed to get ready for work. She somehow never saw the wide-eyed 8-year-old sitting in her living room eye groping her softball-sized tits, because she never closed the door. It was amazing as a kid. Never told a soul. Walked into men's restroom and saw female co-worker shaving her vagina. Work has been awkward ever since. Probably should have turned and left, but I waved and walked by her to the stalls. My mom likes to tell the story of the time she was naked and walking around her hotel room on the 14th floor, when a window washer slowly squeaked down and started cleaning the windows. It always makes me wonder how much accidental nudity window washers stumble upon. I was working on a water line by a park and a lady parked downhill from where Elle was working. She got out of her car and took off all her clothes, buck naked. She put on another outfit and drove off. When I was in college, me and my friends were hanging out in the dorm talking to some girls on our floor. One of them was asking if we had a six-pack. She lifted up my buddy's shirt to see his abs, only to reveal the tip of his penis that he had tucked into his waistband. Ducking legend. Pushing the late end of Halloween trick-or-treating. My friends and I tried a house with no light on, but the front door wide open. We tried a few times before a guy showed up at the top of the stairs totally naked and yelled, "We're out of candy." Even at that age, we kind of understood we'd interrupted something, given the state of his whiner. I had just moved into a new apartment where my living room windows looked out into the living room window of the apartment building next door. The two buildings were only separated by a 10-foot wide alleyway, so it was really easy to look into each other's apartments even when you weren't trying. Anyway, one night while sitting and watching TV in my living room, a very beautiful woman appeared in the neighbor's window and began removing her clothes. I was a little shocked as I figured she could see me and would close the blinds, but she proceeded to get naked and then walk around, doing this and that, bending over to pick up things up off the floor for a good 5 minutes. Once she realized that her blinds were up, she calmly and gingerly walked to the window, still naked, and pulled the blinds down. I wasn't leering and I did try to ignore her and go back to watching Law and Order, SVU or whatever crap TV I was watching. But it was hard not look since my TV was right by the window. Anyway, her blinds remained closed until she moved out a week later. I did tell my upstairs neighbor about it and he told me the couple that lived in my place before me had a number of similar incidents with the same neighbor. Apparently they would be eating dinner and she would pop up naked at the window, and on occasion pop up having sex with men and women. Incidentally, my GF at the time would stay over, frequently get changed in front of the big bay windows in my bedroom. The windows looked out onto the street and onto the apartments across the way. I would tell her she should close the blinds because the people on the street could see her. Usually the lights were off so she felt the glare from the windows wouldn't let people see in. A few years later when we broke up, my neighbor across the street let me know that he felt bad for me since my ex had great tits. Yeah, he and his roommates could see in when she was getting dressed and made it a point to sit on their porch, drink coffee and stare up at my windows to see my ex's boobs. Ha, I never told her. One time in high school at the beginning of class, while everyone was still settling in and some people were still showing up, a very attractive girl walked in and turned facing away from the class to talk to my teacher about something. Unbeknownst to her, her skirt was tucked between her back and her backpack, and her bare ass, she was wearing a thong, was facing the entire class. I had a front row seat and had to waistband a boner for the rest of class. Uber passenger needed to change her shirt in my car before her next meeting. Her nipple was sticking out of her bra whenever she took her shirt off. Still my most memorable trip yet. Back in high school, well over 20 years ago, my friends and I were hanging out in our usual spot for lunch, right near the entrance of school. It was a chilly morning, but became much warmer during lunch. This one girl was walking towards the school and she was one of the top 5 hottest girls in school. She had on a sweater and was pulling it off over her head. Her bra and everything came up with it and those massive melons did a titty drop. She was able to get everything in order before anyone else saw, but saw me mouth agape and smiled at me. None of my friends saw and called me a liar when I told them. She is still hot. I don't think this next one is accidental, but the hell with it. I was in the Air Force and lived alone off base in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had a co-worker who lived in the dorms on base and was having his girlfriend fly out to stay with him for a week. Problem is that you can't have anyone spend the night in the dorms and he couldn't afford for her to stay in a hotel, so he asked if they could stay in my spare bedroom for that week. I said sure. 2 days before she's supposed to fly in, her boyfriend decided to get caught underage drinking. He gets confined to base restriction, and couldn't leave base. He has a friend go to the airport to pick her up and bring her to my place. So, she gets there and she's much cuter than I thought. I show her the bedroom and she asks if she can't take a shower. I get her a towel and show her the bathroom. I'm sitting on the couch watching TV, which if I look to my left, I'm looking directly into the bathroom. She comes out of the room, into the bathroom, turns shower on and gets undressed right there in plain sight. Bathroom door stays open the entire time. I had a girlfriend at the time who was coming over when she got out of class, so I jumped off the sofa and waited in the kitchen until she was done. My keys were on the coffee table, so I went to grab them. She walks out of the bathroom, towel on her head, but naked, and gives me a quick smile and she heads into the bedroom. I tell her that I was heading out and to lock up if she leaves. As soon as I walk out the door, my girlfriend is walking up to my apartment. Never told her what happened. Had a Polish family move in next door to me. The house was owned by a realtor and they were renting it. They basically had just moved from Poland. The mom sunbathed buck naked in the backyard every day for the first 2 weeks or so. She was a blonde woman, maybe in her late 30s early 40s, and was quite attractive. I don't know if that's what she used to do in Poland and she kept doing it until someone told her not to. But yeah, me and the rest of the 12-year-olds on the block had some nice views. I say the nudity was accidental because she did have an umbrella for shade, and also the house was a little higher up on a hill, so she probably didn't think she'd be spied on. Little did she know everyone on that block had boys. In a hot tub with this girl I had a huge thing for and a few of her friends. She decides to get us some beer from inside. As she is coming back and handing it for all of us, the next string on her bikini came undone. Both boobs out and right in my face. I was riding that high for at least a week. I was about 14 and at a water park waiting for my friends to change, and they had doors on the change rooms, and as I am sitting there, a change room door slowly opens and a girl about 20 is fully naked and sliding down her panties, and she looks up and we make eye contact and she smiles and winks and slowly closes the door. My friends all come out oblivious to what just happened, and I had to walk with my towel in front of me for a long time. I remember this one time when I used to live in an apartment with a roommate. Our work schedules were completely opposite. I'd work day and he worked nights at a restaurant. Well, one morning I was leaving to go to work. I had to walk through the living room to get to front door. I step out of my hallway and I see my roommate and one of his co-workers butt-ass naked searching around the apartment for something. I stopped. They noticed me and both had the look of a deer in the headlights. Ask what the hell they were looking for, and it turned out that his co-worker lost her pants. How that was possible I do not know. I was walking along a street with houses along the path. One door was open and the stairs went up just inside the door. I heard a voice from inside and looked in that direction. A woman in dressing gown, bathrobe for Americans, was sat on the stairs talking on the phone. The way she was sat, her bag was on clear view to the street.